URC back underway in 2025, folks, although it is a continuation of the round 9 action we saw. It's still the Welsh teams, and the first game I saw of the new year, the Scarlets and the Dragons, and it's the Scarlets who get the job done, 32 points to 15 at home. Bonus point win to start the new year, so not a bad way to start their campaign. The Ospreys and Cardiff played earlier, but that game was 4 in the morning, so I didn't watch it. I crawled out of bed 6:15 in my new year. To start the year, as I said, with this game, it's pretty entertaining. It had its moments. Certainly, I would have liked the Dragons to push a bit more. They're a pretty frustrating team. They missed some opportunities and had a few soft ones, which, as I said, a bit frustrating. Like, I wanted the game to be a bit closer. It would never really look like the Scarlets were going to lose this one, but they did well. The Scarlets, to secure that bonus point. Maybe guilty of being a little bit more lax in the second half, but we'll go through some of the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how these Welsh games went. I would say at the weekend, but it wasn't at the weekend because it's kind of the middle of the week. Rodri Williams kicking a 50-22 from a Dragons scrum was kind of one of these examples of the Dragons like not converting chances or missing opportunities. It's probably the best thing Rodri Williams did the entire game. That basically led to the first try for Scarlets, which is not so that's supposed to work. After you kick a 52, you're not supposed to go ahead and concede a try. But that's what happened because the turnover ball that the Dragons coughed up on attack directly led to the Scarlets just from their own 22 backing themselves to go up the pitch and doing it, scoring a try through Blair Murray, who gets a brace in this one. Plumtree, Rogers, Gareth Davis all involved in the try, which saw them go coast to coast, and Blair Murray able to finish it off. So 7 points to 0, and then 10 points to 0 when Sam Costello slotted like a 40-metre penalty not long later. So that's a pretty fine start from the Scarlets lads at home. Plumtree did concede a penalty, and he's got a knack of conceding a few penalties, to be fair. A few minutes later, which allowed the Dragons, through O'Brien's boot, to get themselves on the board, 10-3. But then the Dragons, being a bit frustrating that they are, and I admit I'm guilty of not watching the Dragons as much as I should. They're kind of bottom of the log, so not the biggest draw. But as I said, they had their moments, but some of the moments were just like a straightforward restart after getting 3 points. They just don't catch it. They let the thing bounce, and from the bouncing ball, the Scarlets lads are able to shift it wide, pretty straightforward, and Blair Murray gets his second try. So that's head in your hand stuff if you're the coach. Philo Tiatia in this case, interim coach. Can't have been too pleased with that one. Do something good, follow it with something bad. 17 points to 3. And then a moment which probably would have made Philo Tiatia smile and everyone else. I say that kind of a bit tongue-in-cheek. But Ben Whitehouse, who gets a bit of flack as a ref. I didn't think he did too bad today, actually. But Ben Whitehouse gets a lot of criticism. He got absolutely smashed. Smashed in some contact. So he did well to dust himself off and brush that off, Ben Whitehouse. So well done for him taking the contact. But you don't see that every game. But when you do see it, it can bring a wry smile to your face. Next penalty, the Dragons opted for touch. Lost the line out, so it was kind of another chance gone a begging. Costello almost kicked the 50-22 in reply for the Scarlets, but it just went dead. It was a metre away from being a great kick. But nobody really able to get on top. Alice Mee for the Scarlets had a real kind of heart-in-mouth moment when the Dragons kicked through. Looked like it was going to go into touch. Looked like it might drift back inside and just go into the goal area. Ended up being a Dragons scrum anyway, but third try of the game came through the Scarlets. It was McLeod. He's able to go over basically from a maul after the Scarlets had blown at least kind of one or two chances of their own in the build-up, but at least they converted on it. So they kept the pressure on and made it 24-3 at halftime. So it's a pretty convincing halftime score. Doesn't look like the Dragons are going to be able to win this one. I mean, the first half ended with O'Brien and Costello having a wee kicking duel, which ended up with Tom Rogers taking a really nice high ball, but ended up with the Scarlets kind of knocking it on. So the Scarlets have certainly had the better of the first half. They've had 58% possession, not as much territory, but 5 line breaks to 1. They did pop up a graphic on the screen at one point which said it was 8-1, according to like the URC stats people. But The Rugby Pass stats people who I look to more had it as 5-1. Turnovers conceded, though, 11-3. So the Scarlets guilty of a little bit too much drop ball, potentially left a few points out there. Penalty counts remarkably low, though, only 5 in the first half. 3 against the Dragons, 2 against the Scarlets. But kicks from hand is pretty high. I mentioned the kicking duel, 22-24. In some of the recent games, that's been a whole game of kicking. But that's only one half kicking in this game. So the kicking did kind of slow down a bit in the second half. There was less boot to ball, but there were more penalties. So it was a pretty free-flowing first half in the scheme of things. Just maybe both sides a little bit guilty of, as said, leaving a few points out there. Second half looks to have started with an early Scarlets try, and it has. They have to kind of check it with a lot of TMO. Starts with the hooker Van der Merwe winning a nice turnover, get themselves some field positions, the Scarlets. But then they have to check if Johnny Williams' offload, which has gone behind Joe Roberts' back, has kind of gone forward. Ben Whitehouse says even though it's gone behind the back, it looks to have gone forward, but the TMO says nope, it's flat. So me is given the try, and that is the bonus point for the Scarlets. So they're on 29-3. They only score 3 more points the entire game. So that's what I mentioned about the Scarlets maybe taking the foot off the gas a little bit once they got the bonus point. And then the Dragons had a good, 15, 20-minute period of pressure, and then ending in the Scarlets' yellow card, which they probably should have converted. Like Rio Dyer had a nice line break from kick return. He ended up not passing it, so it didn't end up coming to anything. They did get one from close range through Tane Basham. Instead of the kind of line break stuff, they just went kind of phase after phase close to the line. That was a good one to score, and then good conversion. So 29-10. Not quite game on, but more game on than 29-3. Scarlets continued to concede penalties. The Dragons went again for touch, but lost the ball to a Scarlets turnover. And then the next one that the Dragons threw at the Scarlets ended up getting held up, so goal line dropout. So they needed at least one more of those, either the Dyer chance or the go for touch chance or the held up chance. But they didn't get any of them. Plumtree gets yellow carded not too long later for the Scarlets lads for a kind of no-arms tackle. And the Dragons do manage to score through Anderson, which was a bit of a messy try in itself, almost messier than the me one for the Scarlets, where they kind of had a loose ball that was swooped on by Anderson. I think it was from a kick in the end. And 1-2 play sees Anderson finish it off, but it all came from a quick tap, so good on the Dragons for wanting to play quick during the yellow card. So 32-15, certainly, the conversion was terrible, but certainly not quite game on, but, it was 29-15, kind of close enough, but then Tane Basham gave away a soft penalty at the end of the yellow card, which allowed the Scarlets to make it 32-15, slow down the game, because the Dragons had the momentum, just slow it down, eat a minute of the yellow card, and just extend it to 3 points more. So, yeah, that's the final score. Final 10 finishes with not a heck of a lot happening. Neither side's able to kind of get things going. The Scarlets crowd's getting to a wee song to celebrate their victory. But yeah, 32-15. So wow, I start my new year with some Welsh rugby. So there you go. This win does put the Scarlets guys still in that playoff conversation. The middle of the log for the URC is still really crowded, but it keeps the Scarlets in it, whereas the Dragons are still dead last with this loss. The possession finishes 54-46 to the Scarlets. Territory goes the other way, 57-43 to the Dragons. Turnovers 1-7-4 to the Scarlets. That was kind of a key element of that defensive shift they had in the second half. But their attack, line breaks 8-4. Pretty fitting that they scored more of the tries. 10 penalties conceded by the Dragons, 9 by the Scarlets. As I said, it was a bit higher in the second half, given that there was only 5 penalties in the entire first half, and we finished with 19. Tackle percentage, though, 94 from the Scarlets. That's classy. Dragons would be a little bit frustrated they couldn't do more on attack, whereas 82% for the Dragons is not fantastic. Marnus van der Merwe gets man of the match. 13 carries, 11 tackles, wins a turnover. Good effort from him. Tom Rogers has 5 defenders beaten. Owen and Basham both had 9 tackles for the Dragons in a losing shift. But yeah, there you go. when the URC gets back underway in January, end of January, it is January now, Mark, the Scarlets will be home to Edinburgh and the Dragons home to Munster. But yes, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. If you're a Dragons fan, is this pretty par for the course, creating some opportunities, but then a few head in your hands moments? And if you're a Scarlets fan, are you guys optimistic you guys can push for the playoffs, or you think it's still going to be a long road? You guys take care of yourselves. Happy New Year and whatnot. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.